Hello and welcome to this week's live lunch. Here we are live on my LinkedIn profile, on the Green Umbrella Facebook page, and over on our YouTube channel as well. So, what a week it's been. We've had, it seems so long since the last live lunch, and I know it's only a week, but we've celebrated Jane's 10-year anniversary in the business, which we kind of started doing on last week's live lunch. Now she's got a lovely little award. If you haven't seen that, there's a post on my LinkedIn. It's on Facebook as well, I think.
We're not replicating the Give Us a J, are we?
No. I think it was really funny though. Obviously, last week Jane wasn't able to join us on the live lunch last minute. We had to sort of say, no, you go without. So we'd had plans of we were going to get Ellie to drive over and knock on her door with the award. During live lunch, and she'd have been mortified. It would have been brilliant.
Oh, I'm so glad.
We couldn't do that, but we started talking about her, and all we've had this week is Jane moaning about saying nice things about her online. How does that work? That makes no sense, does it? But there you go. So we had that, and then I've been out. I was schmoozing at the weekend with some of our clients at an event, which is a whole other story I won't go into now. And then it's this week's just been a whirlwind, an absolute whirlwind. So I have to admit, I'm really behind on my reading, which I feel like is something I'm saying regularly. It's my brain has been there's been a few reports come out, sort of social media related industry reports, and my head's been in those rather than the social media news. But when you've read loads of research-based stuff, I'm not an academic. So I've read these 3 reports, and I'm they're really interesting for me, but I couldn't tell you what's in them. Do you ever get that? You read through, it's really factual, and there's all this stuff, and you go, and then at the end of it, you're like, oh, so what were the key points then, Christina? It's like a tumbleweed. Is that just me? Does anyone else get that?
No, I get that as well sometimes.
There's
things I was reading it and go, what have I just read?
Yeah. You think, oh, that's really useful, but you'd never be able to explain it to anyone else.
It's one of them is the so the Social Media Examiner have done an industry report. Okay, so and they do this every year, and it's basically the thing is it's they've surveyed people like me, people like us, and what are we seeing and what are we planning to do over the next year, and which platforms do we need to learn more about, where are we putting our video focus, where are we putting our paid strategies or learning about paid strategies and that kind of stuff. And so it's noticing the trends over the years then makes me think, what do we need to change in the service we provide for our clients because of the trends we're seeing? So it's kind of it's information where it's not necessarily about what can we implement today. It's information around what's the social media landscape going to look like in 2-3 years' time? What's the new and next when it comes to online marketing? And so it is quite a lot to get your head around. But I've been reading that, and at the same time, I've been reading another report that's specifically around the role of a social media manager. And I've remembered something. One of the things that stood out to me on that report was that such a small percentage of a social media manager's role today is spent on managing communities. And yet, if you want social media to work, especially things like Facebook and Instagram, if you're not promoting a community, not creating that community feel, you don't get results. So it's an absolute mismatch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Also been looking at a report from Meltwater about the state of social listening, and it's just there's so few brands using some sort of listening strategy, and then they're missing out on opportunities. So it's that's where my head's been at this week. Looking at that stuff, which, like I said, is really interesting to me. But I can already see Mark's face going if I sit here, the light will affect on my glasses, and she won't notice I've fallen asleep.
They're not my real eyes.
Good plan.
Awesome. So, Mark, I know you've had a pretty busy week as well, working on quite a few things. As we've got events coming up in the calendars and clients looking at sort of print stuff again based on that, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just crazy at the minute with a couple of events that we're at as well, but some of our clients and connections are at. So although it's still just over a month away, it's just hectic. So it's just roller banners, leaflets, business cards, deck chairs.
The weird and the wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, it's anything to do with sort of events and things, and then just coupled with websites and things. Still just manic on those. Got a couple that I'm finishing off, and then just inquiries. Had another meeting about another one today. So it's busy.
Yeah, amazing. I think it's we're seeing more of these sort of face-to-face exhibitions, stuff like that happening, and people investing and getting their stands together. And there are two things that always shock me. Not shock because I'm used to it now, but I don't get the logic. So two things: if you've got an event in your calendar, make sure that things like your stand, things like your banners, like this, that we can do those for you. Well, Mark can. That won't be me. But like that stuff, you need to have sorted 6 weeks out at least.
Yeah, I mean, ideally. Yeah,
it's like getting it printed. So don't leave that too late. Just like getting on the phone with someone and getting things in progress on that. But the other thing is, once that's done, when it arrives with you, check it.
Make sure it fits. Make sure it's there.
Yeah, make sure there's not a bit missing, or honestly, it's the number of times I've had panicked phone calls from people because it's like, it's not when they've got stuff from us even. It's if they've got stuff from elsewhere and they're like, oh my God, this has happened, Christina, and what are we going to do? Does it look all right? What are we going to do? This bit's missing. And I have to say, quite often, if you find yourself in that situation where you're there and it's like everyone else's stand is amazing and you're thinking, God, no one can even see my stand because it looks, there's nothing of interest visually there. Balloons are quite often the answer. Just throwing that in there. If you're ever going we just need something else and you're there and it's too late to organise anything else, there will always be a balloon shop.
And don't rely on couriers at the last minute, as we've seen at a few exhibitions as well, where people have just been sitting there with a blank table because the courier's lost it or something like that. So again, make sure you're organised in time. Obviously, if you're having a big stand build, it's different. But if you're relying on couriers delivering to exhibition halls, I don't know, that'd give me palpitations.
I mean, we are really organised when it comes to this stuff. Again, I say we, I mean, Mark is really organised. Everything will be packed a week, for about a week beforehand. Everything's packed, just ready to be picked up on the day and to go. So we're very grateful for that. But yeah, it is there's so much stuff that just becomes lastminute.com. We should get, so we've got a fantastic contact, Jodie Fletcher. I always call her Chili Jodie. So that's in my head, her name is Chili Jodie. But we should get her on to talk about promotional ideas and gifts and things and what works and what doesn't, and flexibility in those as well, especially at things like expos. Because we've been, I won't say what we've been thinking about, but we've been throwing some ideas around for this particular event that we're attending at the end of June. What can we do in terms of stuff on the stand? So having something that brings people in, but also if we're going to do some sort of giveaway promo item, bit of merch, we want to do something different, something creative. And, I mean, we could be giving out 5-foot inflatable balloons, but that would be a bit pricey. But yeah, it'd be good to see if we can get Jodie on to have a chat around that kind of thing and some of the quirkier stuff she's seen people do, and what costs less than you would think it would. I think that would be a good conversation for us to have on that side.
Yeah.
Just done a couple of guest blogs on the website as well recently.
Yeah.
So you can read those on the GU blog.
Yeah. And she might even like be on my side of the fence with things when I talk about things like, you know, those foam aeroplanes that I want that you won't let me have because you said they're dangerous.
No, I'd go for it.
Get them ordered then, Mark.
Let's get them. Let's get them.
Do it. 500 of them. Thank you very much. Cool. Okay, right. Let's get into some proper stuff now. Not
So we'd probably get 500 and we'd use about 450 in the office before we went anywhere.
The thing is, we've got this. It's lovely and open here, and the window's open quite far. We could have a bit of a competition.
Well,
Who can get to the allotments?
Kim did actually say the other day it's something like paper aeroplane day. It's not quite paper aeroplane, but maybe she reckons she's good as well.
Oh,
Which
really?
then she sort of backtracked a little bit on when.
Yeah.
So maybe we can report on. I can't remember when it is, but we can report on that. Maybe have a little live report in live lunch.
No,
that
I
week.
hope it's on a Thursday. 26th of May, Ellie says.
How is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what
That
day
is a
that is.
Thursday. Hold on, let me check. I don't want to get too excited. It's a Thursday.
Wow.
There you go.
It's a paper aeroplane special on live lunch next week. Then.
You keep saying we're going to get Kim on live lunch. This is it. This is
Yeah.
it. She's not going to talk email marketing. So a big part of what Kim does is around email marketing. We won't get to talk about that. It'll be all about paper aeroplanes. Love it.
She can show us our skills.
Right, so come on then, guys. Let's get on to some proper stuff then, because obviously, you know, Mark and I never talk about proper stuff. Where should we go? So, Jane, I think you've got a ton of stuff that actually I haven't seen this week. So give us a couple, then we'll come to Nicole, then we'll come back to you.
Yeah, okay. So the first one I saw yesterday and a little bit of last week was that Instagram are testing only showing you 3 stories. What I'm not 100% sure about, because there's no massive story about it, it's just like a little video clip. I'm not sure if you just see, so you know, if you've added to your own story 10 times, I'm not sure if you only see 3 of a person's story or whether it's 3 stories at the top. But either way, it's 3 of something and then you have to click something to actually see more. So
That's
I think
it.
it's
Yeah.
3
So
panels of someone's story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's by person. So if I put 12 things on there, you would only see the first 3, and then you'd have to have a further click to see the rest. Yeah, when you mentioned that earlier, I was like, I haven't seen that. That makes no sense. But now you're talking about it. Yes, that's what it is. I have seen that one.
So yeah, could have big impacts on the algorithm, maybe, depending on, you know, whether people actually click that button to see the rest of your stories or not.
Yeah, but I think we're seeing some of the social media platforms make changes that they're sort of pushing us towards, not pushing us towards creating better content, but actually creating pointless content is like, it's not even worth doing that. So there is an influencer style person in the sort of entrepreneurship world that I follow on Instagram. And she documents her day every day, near enough. But it's like, it's overkill. I'm surprised we haven't seen her like on the loo or in the shower by now. It's like literally, it's like, wow, it's a lot. But she also then, when people mention her, she always shares those into her story as well. So I think some days there's probably like 50, 60 stories on there.
Wow.
And I can imagine that, you know, she's got a significant audience. But you've got to be a special kind of someone to click through all of those stories. All of them.
And actually watch them.
Yeah,
not just tap.
And it's like, it would be better as a reel rather than as all those individual stories. So it is kind of another push to sort of say, like, use the features, but use them well. It's a bit like LinkedIn, not removing polls. They're not removing polls. They're They're basically downvoting crap polls in the algorithm. If it's something valuable, brilliant, we'll still see it. But if it's a, do you have sugar in your coffee? Yes or no poll, we won't be seeing those anymore. Or they won't get as much weight in the algorithm. That's what's been said anyway. But yeah, cool. Okay. What else you got for us, Jane?
So another one on algorithms, actually. So Facebook have been talking about moving away from the algorithmic feed a little bit to more of an AI generated one. So, which is how TikTok works apparently. So you'll still see your friends post and think people that you're actually connected to, but you'll see a lot more sort of suggested posts, perhaps from people who have got public profiles, or it could be company pages, or it could be, reels or anything like that. But it's just more suggested stuff based on an AI sort of machine learning of what it thinks you want to see.
What do
I'm
we think,
not mad keen
guys?
on. I don't know. Sometimes suggested things are interesting. Most of the time I'm like, oh, for God's sake, get rid of that.
I think it's nice to have it as an option rather than as a forced upon you. I feel like I've trained my feed pretty well, so I see the kind of stuff I want to see. Don't get me wrong, I am in a bit of an echo chamber, perhaps. So there's benefits from that perspective. You might discover something you wouldn't see otherwise. But it's like, I don't know. Just makes me think I'm going to see loads of content around like popping pimples and stuff like that again. It's like whenever you get in something like an AI feed, there's always like weird stuff in there, like that. It's honestly.
I can't say I've ever seen popping pimple videos in my feed, but hey.
Have you not?
No.
Oh,
I definitely have.
So your algorithm isn't that great then?
It's almost
Or
like,
maybe it
well, no,
is.
this is what I'm saying. When I've used things that've got AI generated feeds before, so like getting started on TikTok, I swear it's like for women, it's like loads of gross stuff like that because I'm of an age, so whereas like with for the boys it's scantily clad with women. So yeah, it's like it takes some work to train your feed, and I've got it just right now. Thank you very much, Facebook. So yeah, not sure I'm a fan of that.
No, me neither.
But like I said, I understand the dangers. Like Mark would just see rugby stuff, rugby and Pearl Jam all day long, and he'd never know what was going on in the world, would he?
That's all you need, really, isn't it?
It's interesting though, because that actually leads quite nicely onto the whole Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, Twitter algorithm feed conversation that's been going on, doesn't it? Because basically Elon thinks that you should have your tweets ordered by latest tweet, because otherwise you are reliant on a machine choosing what you say, and that's the same kind of thing, isn't it? So if you leave it to a machine, you are being manipulated. I don't know. Discuss. Who do we agree with?
Well, this is the thing. It's like, so when it's machine led, something still had to go in one end for something to come out the other end, right? So you kind of think that it would remove bias and stuff like that. But if the person putting information in at the top has biases, whatever the word is, it's like there's still going to be that bias through the process. It's still gonna, the AI is the machine learning, all of it is still going to be learning after having that starting point. So yeah, I'm just like, I forgot what the word is when it's in order, time order.
Yeah, I don't know. Latest tweets, it's just called it out.
Yeah. when you've got a chronological feed,
Chronological, that's it.
right? If it's chronological, if there's someone in there that's popping up all the time that's just annoying, you would unfollow them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you would constantly be cleansing who you're following. Things like bot accounts, that sort of stuff. It's like you wouldn't see that. You would recognize that bot behavior because you're seeing it chronologically, and then you would get rid of it. And then again, like that would just, there'd be you'd end up with a ton of dormant bot accounts.
You still got the option of lists as well.
Absolutely.
To filter out exactly what you want to see.
Yeah. So. Lots of opportunities there. Nicole, you were going to talk a little bit about the old Elon.
Yeah, because even speaking of bots, he tweeted, I don't know if anyone saw it this week, that 20%, he thinks 20% and more are spam/fake profiles on Twitter. And that's what he's trying to sort as well. He wants it to be more accurate because obviously, yeah, with the algorithms, he doesn't think, well, I've been reading, he doesn't think Twitter have been fully truthful. So he wants to make it a bit more accurate by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
they've said so he reckoned like 20% plus, and they've said 5%.
Yeah, that's it.
Or under 5%, and he's basically gone prove it.
Yeah,
and they've just started sacking people instead, basically.
yeah. Well, that was what I was reading as well today. 3 more Twitter execs have left the Twitter HQ. Yeah. So the drama unfolds.
Now, I'm seeing different reports as to they may no longer be in the business, but whether they've been sacked or whether they've walked, there's varying reports coming through at the minute.
Yeah.
But it, like, you know, there's a big shift happening over there. I honestly don't know which way it's going to go at this point. I kind of have this little gut feeling that Twitter will be sold, but it won't be to Musk.
Yeah, that's the consensus at the minute, isn't it? That he won't buy it.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine probably about 2 years ago, and we were talking about social media platforms and who owns what and blah blah blah. And he always thought Amazon would buy Twitter. So it does make me wonder: is this something coming? You know, are we going to see a change, and is it going to be something like that? I think it will be bought, and it'll be bought by, you know, it won't be Microsoft or anyone like that that's already got a link into social. It will be someone that is ready to make a social media play. And Amazon, basically, Bezos is in every other pie, isn't he?
That's all we'll get is ads about Amazon now.
Twitter will cost me a fortune.
Yeah.
You'll have to auto-tweet your latest purchase and things like that.
So, Nicole, what else have you seen this week?
Just another one from me. So you can now get ready to express yourself in a different way on LinkedIn. They're going to be introducing a funny reaction along with the celebration one, just the classic like, the heart reaction, insightful, and there's a curious reaction as well. So yeah, I think that'd be nice because I see quite a lot of funny things on LinkedIn, sorry. And I always don't know what to react to. So I just send a heart.
Do you know, I saw a conversation about it this morning, actually, because it's only the last couple of days, I think that's been announced.
Yeah,
but it's not been announced. It's sort of been discovered where they're testing it. So that, like, LinkedIn haven't actually said themselves that it's coming, but it's kind of like, it's one of these like discovered in the wild. But it's like already I'm starting to see there's this constant conversation of LinkedIn isn't Facebook and blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah, I'm already seeing that pop up off the back of that. But we should be sharing more personal, more human content on LinkedIn, the stuff that really allows people to buy into us. And sometimes that is humorous. I think it's hard to be funny. It's much easier to be humorous. And so I think, like, maybe sometimes that's where things are not received how they're intended because someone's put something on LinkedIn with the intention of it being funny rather than it being humorous. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Like when I was on LinkedIn last week, I don't know who it was, but they posted a whole video about dad jokes. So they were trying to make the other one laugh by saying dad jokes. And I thought the only way to react to that is a funny reaction, but there wasn't one. So I guess in them senses, it's good.
Can have its place.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have something on Instagram as well, or have I got confused?
I think that was Jane's.
That was
story.
Jane's.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Jane, you had some other things.
Yeah, a couple of others. So Twitter Circle is a sort of new thing it's got limited public testing at the minute, which basically allows you to tweet to up to 150 people of your choice. So, you can choose to tweet to 3 or you can choose to tweet to 150, whichever, which I find a sort of really bizarre one in a way, because I get it that if you wanted to share something a little bit more personal or whatever, you might just want to choose your audience. But there's also an element of Twitter's a public place. So why are you narrowing it down? If you want to say something personal, maybe you should say it on Facebook to your friends. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I'm not sure exactly what I think about it, really.
It's a bit, I think it's their version of Instagram. You can have stories that you just share with your friends. It's their version of that. Yeah. So I don't know, it's quite, so again, think community. You could tweet something that only went to your, like we could tweet an offer that only went to our clients.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, be good for that.
Or, if we wanted to get more followers on Twitter, it might be like we're announcing something special. We're going to announce it on this day. Make sure you follow us. And they would be in that group and we'd, tweet to them first of all before it went mainstream. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. But I think it's used in the right way. It could actually really help to grow your following on social media platforms.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking from a personal perspective rather than a business one, but actually, yeah, as a business, there's a lot more opportunity there, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, from a personal perspective, do you know, there's always this thing between like your business self and your personal self. And Twitter for me has always been a platform where it's really hard to split the two. So actually, if I wanted to post some stuff that's a bit more family and friends orientated, then I think I would use it in that way, be like stuff for close family, for example. I wouldn't necessarily I don't mix my family and my friends. be like photos from last Saturday night. I would definitely only want those to be shown with a very limited amount of people. That's for sure.
I suppose in my mind, I'm thinking, why would Twitter be your platform of choice then if you were going to do that? I suppose that's where I'm coming from. I think there's other platforms I would do that on rather than Twitter.
Yeah, it is a struggling platform, but whether it's then like what's available on the platforms that are seeing success, how do we recreate that stuff in platform? So I think there could be an amount of that going on as well. Again, from the social media reports I've been reading, you can definitely see that Twitter is just struggling along. Struggling. And it's like, it's always there. It's always there. It's not really diminishing in terms of how many people are using it as part of their online strategy. But it hasn't grown for years. It's just stayed at 2% of the 5,000 people we interviewed are using Twitter, and it's just been that every year for the last however many years. Whereas things like Instagram has seen steady growth. Facebook is actually in decline, but still the biggest. See, I said I couldn't remember any of this stuff, didn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, LinkedIn is still there. It's really interesting. But Twitter is just like this little lost, forgotten thing that just never quite goes away.
True.
That's why it needs to find the right owner.
I was just thinking of something to liken it to, and everything that popped into my head would be really inappropriate to say. Like, it's like that annoying family member that you just can't quite get rid of, or annoying child, or it's a good job neither of my kids watch this, isn't it? Oh, dear me. Okie dokie. So what else have we got for this week? Is there anything else, or shall we wrap this up?
I did have two tiny ones though, just quickly.
Go on.
So it was another Twitter one actually. Again, maybe just to encourage people to use it. So they're rolling out a subscriber-only spaces thing. So if you're a creator, you can sort of do a little preview of it. So your non-subscribers will see the preview, but only the actual subscribers will see or hear the space. And then obviously it's to encourage more people to subscribe and pay to join you. So yeah, another interesting thing from them. Obviously, like I said, to boost some numbers, perhaps. And then the other thing I've got is a little Google one, which is actually quite interesting. So they're making their maps more immersive. So they're sort of a hybrid thing between aerial and street view when you're looking for a place. And then there's going to be more sort of internal 3D views of museums, places, shops, that kind of thing. But also, if it's your business, you can then put little tags and adverts actually in the sort of view of it. So that's quite a nice thing, as a marketer, whatever, you could put a special offer in there. So if people have found you on Google, had a little 3D look in your shop and click on that offer, and they might come down to your shop and buy whatever it is. It's just quite a nice another avenue for you to market into.
Yeah. Do you know, it's a while since they did anything with like Google My Business, Google Maps. We haven't seen any updates on those for a long time, have we?
No, not really, no. So it's quite an interesting one.
To see what comes. Very exciting. Especially the 3D stuff, as we move closer to the metaverse, it will be can you imagine sort of some sort of meta experience within Google Maps?
Won't need to leave home soon, will we?
Yeah.
It is going to become like WALL-E, the film, isn't it? We are just going to float around on.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, well, let's wrap it up there. Although one thing, we need someone to go back onto LinkedIn or if someone's watching on LinkedIn, I just want to know, have we had automatic subtitles appear? Because that's something that was announced last week. But I think it's only in audio rooms. I don't think it's on live video. So, I'm just trying to find something that says for definite whether it includes live video as well or not. So someone needs to check that. But other than that, we're going to go. Third time lucky. We're going. We're off. We'll see you later. We'll see you next Thursday at 12 noon on the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. Here's the wave for the little screenshot. Have a fantastic week, everyone. We'll catch up with you soon.